When we walk through a forest, we tend to see a bunch of individual trees, right? Each one standing alone, kind of fighting for its own patch of sunlight and water. But what if that whole picture is wrong? What if, right under our feet, there's a secret, bustling network where these trees are constantly talking, sharing resources, and even warning each other of danger? Well, let's dig in and uncover this incredible hidden world.
I know. It sounds like something straight out of a fantasy movie, doesn't it? But this isn't science fiction. It's a huge shift in how we understand ecology. It turns out forests aren't just collections of silent loners. They're more like vast, cooperative communities.
So the big question is, how on earth do they do it? They don't have mouths, they don't have smartphones. Well, the secret is this ancient, incredibly powerful partnership, a kind of biological internet that's been running for millions of years, long before air has ever existed. To really get how this Wood Wide Web works, we've got to get to the root of the matter, and I mean that literally. The whole system, the whole thing is built on a beautiful symbiotic relationship between trees and fungi.
The magic word here is mycorrhiza. It's just Greek for fungus root, and it perfectly describes this amazing partnership. See, the tree is great at photosynthesis, so it creates tons of sugar. It sends that sugar down to the fungus's food. And in return, the fungus acts like this massive root extension for the tree, spreading out way farther than the tree's own roots ever could, pulling in all the water and nutrients it needs to survive. It's a total win-win.
And it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of connection either. You've got some fungi that form this thick blanket around the outside of the root tips. You see that a lot with pines and oaks. But then you have others that get even more intimate, and they actually penetrate right into the plant's root cells. And get this, that type is found in over 80% of all plant species on the entire planet.
Now, here's where it gets absolutely mind-blowing. The sheer scale of this thing. We're talking about these microscopic fungal threads, right? They're called hyphae. They are so incredibly dense that in a single little cubiform soil, about the size of a sugar cube, there can be several kilometers of them. Kilometers. That's the physical wiring of this forest internet.
Okay, so we've got the hardware, we've got the wiring, but what's it for? What kind of data is flowing through these fungal cables? Well, it turns out this isn't just a simple plumbing system for nutrients. It is a genuine social network.
And this is where the groundbreaking work of a forest ecologist named Suzanne Simard comes in. She discovered that these networks have hubs, kind of like servers. She identified these huge old trees, and she called them mother trees, that act as the central command for the whole area, connected to hundreds of other trees, both old and young.
So what's being traded on this network? What's the currency? Well, it's life itself. You've got the big mother trees pumping carbon and sugar out to the little seedlings that are struggling down in the shade, giving them a chance to survive. You've got the fungi delivering water and nutrients to everybody. But it goes way beyond just sharing food.
Because it's also a defense system. So picture this. One tree gets attacked by a swarm of hungry insects. It doesn't just suffer in silence. It sends out chemical alarm signals like an SOS through the network. The neighboring trees pick up that signal and can actually boost their own defenses, like start producing chemicals that make their leaves taste awful before the bugs even get to them. It's a coordinated forest-wide immune response. Incredible.
So you can see why this is so much more than just a cool piece of nature trivia. This discovery is a game changer. It fundamentally alters how we see the natural world, and it has some massive real-world implications.
And this understanding didn't just appear overnight. The journey started all the way back in 1885, when a scientist first coined the term mycorrhiza. But it took almost a century for the next big leap, in the 80s, when another scientist used isotopes to actually prove that nutrients were moving between plants. And then, of course, Simard's work in the 90s just blew the whole thing wide open, revealing the complex social life of trees.
And this science is forcing us to rethink how we do things. Take forestry. Maybe clear-cutting, which just destroys these ancient networks, is a terrible idea. Maybe we should be protecting those vital mother trees. And for conservation, it tells us that saving a single tree isn't enough. We have to save the whole interconnected system. It even has huge potential for farming, helping us use these natural fungal allies instead of pouring on chemical fertilizers.
But you know what? For all that we've learned, we are just barely scratching the surface here. This hidden underground world is a brand new frontier, and it's full of mysteries and really profound questions about what life even is.
It really forces us to ask some big questions, right? I mean, what does it really mean to be an individual when you're physically and functionally hooked up to hundreds of your neighbors? What is communication when it's happening with chemicals flowing through the soil? And what is intelligence when it isn't in one brain, but it's distributed across an entire ecosystem? The forest is showing us these ideas are way bigger than we thought.
Which brings us to this one last thought to leave you with. We used to look at a forest and see a crowd of strangers. Now, we're starting to see it might be something closer to a single intelligent superorganism. And if that's true, it just makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other parts of nature that we see as separate individuals are actually connected in these deep, hidden ways that we just haven't learned to see yet?